In the video that unfolds today, you will accompany Rose, a 41-year-old mother, as she sets forth on an unforeseen escape with her 21-year-old son, after years of silently bearing the isolation that accompanies a marriage devoid of love. Moments, immersed in the tranquility of the natural world, beside the ocean stretched out before me, and within the humble confines of a wooden cabin, slowly strip away the tough exterior, encircling her heart. There is an absence of drama, indeed. Frustration lingers in the stillness, unspoken yet palpable, as silence envelopes the uninvited thoughts, inquiries, and the heartfelt warmth of a son who gradually aids her in rediscovering herself. This is a path toward restoration, soft, nuanced, yet surprisingly, deeply significant. As my son turned to face me and captured an image of me poised in the snowy woods, he remarked, "Mom, you look like an individual on the brink of a fresh beginning." I'm Rose, at the age of 41, embodies the roles of a devoted mother and a loving wife, and a woman who once wandered far from her own essence in the years devoted to the needs of others. Yet that, a journey, just the two of us by the sea, nestled within a quaint, snow-draped cabin, led me to understand that I require no one's the freedom to embrace my authentic self. Have you ever encountered a moment did that awaken something in you? Share your reflections, for at times it embodies the truth, narratives that enable us to reflect on our own identities. My name is Rose, and I am 41 years old, an elderly single mother who has recently arrived during the most challenging years that followed separation. My existence centered on my career, invoices, and a residence consistently in a tangible sense, adequate yet lacking in vitality. I recall the last moment when genuine laughter escaped me. Perhaps it was even prior to Owen, the son matured and departed for college. Then, on a crisp early autumn afternoon, as I arrived back home from work feeling weighed down, shoulders, Owen materialized upon my doorstep, a backpack slung over my shoulder, a soft smile that had been absent from my life for far too long. "Time. Mom," he remarked as we sat sipping tea in the old kitchen. I possess a rather unconventional notion. I secured the vintage, a wooden house by the sea, the one that was a cherished possession of Grandma and Grandpa, merely for several days. I believe we require a respite. Just the two of us. I nearly chuckled. A week-long escape, as I continued to manage my financial obligations, not to reference to any work. Yet, there was none. The unwavering determination in Owen's gaze, merely an invitation from a mature son reflecting on his mother, as though she were a person who required rescue. And I agreed. A wooden house tucked away amidst the lines of pine trees stand tall, gazing out over the ocean. The autumn wind howled fiercely, sweeping along the aroma of brine mingling with the rhythmic cadence of the ocean's embrace. The ancient dwelling stood unchanged, unadorned, somewhat dusty, yet oddly reminiscent. Owen deftly turned the key in the lock, then motioned for me to enter ahead. In that instant, it was as though I had crossed over from the confined, cacophonous rhythm of the routine of everyday existence, and into a realm beyond, one absent of phone calls or crowded schedules. We have cozy blankets, a compact gas stove, several books, and a deck of Uno cards, Owen remarked, his eyes shining. And you won't need to perform everything is in place. I smiled, a blend of emotion washing over them, both touched and surprised. A young lad who once implored me to sing him to slumber was now discharging the trunk, deftly organizing all items within this charming little abode. As the sun dips below the horizon, once we were settled, we found ourselves sitting on the porch, with warm teacups cradled in hand, gazing toward the sea stretched out before me, its waves lapping softly at the sandy shore. The coastline, where the final glimmers of daylight flowed through the glass, casting the gentle golden light danced upon my hair. I remarked, "Did nothing." I merely observed Owen as he stared into the horizon, serene, yet motionless, clinging to a vibrant glow within his. His gaze spoke volumes, conveying emotions that words could never capture. Owen's presence enveloped me in a comforting embrace of safety. That sensation I had long since forgotten. The inaugural dawn by the shore. The cabin was filled with a sound that felt all too familiar, the unwavering cadence of the waves and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through a window stood slightly ajar. I roused from slumber gradually, calm and leisurely, free from urgency, devoid of notifications or correspondence. In that instant, it dawned on me that I was unable to recall the most recent occasion when I arose devoid of experiencing a sense of pressure or void. Owen stood in the kitchen, his back turned to me, hair somewhat disheveled, adorned in one of the worn fabric of my father's old t-shirts brushed against my skin. As I stepped, he turned and smiled. "You're up. Crafted the coffee precisely to your preference. Reduced sweetness, increased creaminess, and blended together, counterclockwise, naturally." "I mean, what? You actually still recall that?" "More than you might imagine," he responded, extending a warm mug cradled in my hands, bathed in the gentle glow of the morning light. Within the confines of the wooden kitchen, I could distinctly observe the delicate lines at the edges of my eyes mirrored in the remnants of his past. I had nearly overlooked the burden I bore. After breakfast, we took the time to tidy up the cabin. In unison, we meticulously dusted and rearranged the old books and drew back the curtains to allow sunlight flooded the small room. Every action, regardless of its size, shaped me. I sense that I am bringing to life an overlooked fragment of my being. The fragment that once discovered delight in journeys, in the embrace of afternoons, perusing a book by the window, and in extended, wandering dialogue. That afternoon, we embarked on a stroll by the coastline. The ocean was not boisterous, merely soft waves caressing the sand, reminiscent of ancient whispers. The sand felt cool beneath the ground beneath my feet. The air was imbued with a crispness that invigorated the senses. Gentle, much like my heart, brimming with an array of emotions, yet beginning to release. The light filtered in. Owen spoke of urban existence, camaraderie, and, in the midst of a bustling crowd, there are moments when one can feel an overwhelming sense of isolation. Surrounded by a sea of faces, each person seemingly engrossed in their own world, the feeling of being adrift can be palpable. It's as if the noise and movement swirl around you, yet you remain untouched, a solitary figure in a vibrant tapestry of life. The laughter, the chatter, the hurried footsteps, all blend into a distant hum, amplifying the sense of disconnection. In these fleeting instances, the crowd transforms from, even as a radiant smile graced my face, I listened. At times, a gentle nod, at others, a keen gaze, for an extended period, as though attempting to commit to memory each nuance of this youth, the visage of a man. The very same boy who once held fast to me in dreams, now matured, to guide me through the unpredictable nature of existence. "I once harbored anger towards you for your constant presence. It's so quiet," Owen remarked abruptly, coming to a halt, and halted in my steps. I glanced back at him, yet now I understand. At times, silence holds its own significance. The ways in which we safeguard our well-being, as we are exhausted and unable to articulate. Yet, here you are before me. "Mom, you must have felt quite lonely, didn't you?" "You?" That inquiry, tender in its essence, caught in my throat. I nodded, my gaze tracing our steps upon the shore. Indeed, I felt a profound sense of solitude, though not due to there was an absence of company. It was due to my gradually drifted away from my own essence without even realizing. Observing quietly, Owen remained silent. More. He effortlessly extended his hand and grasped mine. Hand. Not like a young one grasping the hand of a mother, yet as a companion. The companion's hand radiated warmth and strength, something I had overlooked that I truly required. Thus, poorly. That evening, we engaged in a game of Uno beneath the gentle glow of soft yellow light. I continued, losing, and Owen chuckled until he almost stumbled as if he had transformed into that. Once more, the teenage boy exclaimed, "Mom, you're just too easy to read," he teased. I feigned ignorance, pout, yet within me, I felt as light as air. As night approached, I found myself by the window, gazing across the expanse of the sea. The waves were still calm, the wind continued to blow. And I, a woman of 41 years, past the bloom of youth, no, lengthier, brimming with shimmering aspirations. In a moment of clarity, I understood that I could still start anew. Once more, I could still experience love and be cherished, in the most straightforward manner imaginable, via a true presence and a hand to grasp when I require it. The following dawn, the heavens became overcast. Gray clouds unfurled across the sky, resembling a blanket stretched over the sky, crafting an unusually serene ambience. I roused from slumber to the gentle rhythm of raindrops tapping softly on the wooden roof. Owen had ascended. In the early hours, perched on the porch with a leather notebook lay open before him, with a pen poised, as though he were crafting words, something profoundly intimate. I did not disturb him. Quietly, I prepared the coffee and revealed it, setting it down delicately upon the. He glanced up from the wooden table, a smile spreading across his face. I'm penning down my thoughts in a journal. Please, no laughter. Just scribbling thoughts that haunt me. I let it slip away. I nodded softly. In the past, I would do, throughout my college years, and then I paused when I embraced the role of a wife, a mother, I responded, my tone as airy as the clouds. At a certain moment, the elements, I contemplated the notion of simply ceasing to feel significant. Owen remained quiet. I observed in his eyes revealed a familiar inner conflict. A part of him longed to inquire further. Another part of him, I feared it might bring me sorrow. Mother, it all started. At your age, what do you aspire to be? I found myself taken by surprise. The memory eludes me. The last time I could recall, someone had inquired about that. With my chin resting on my hand, I gazed out toward the faraway ocean. The shimmering crests of the waves softly caressed the shore as though anticipating for a truthful response. When I was from a young age, I adored the art of writing, I remarked, my eyes blurring as a tide of memories surged to the surface beckoned to me, igniting a desire to delve deeper into its mysteries, exploring the realms of literature, embarking on journeys abroad, and crafting captivating novels. I once envisioned countless realms. Then, I encountered your father. Everything transformed so swiftly. Owen remained silent. He carried on as though he were aware of my words. This spoken aloud for the first time for decades. I hold no regrets about having you in my life, uttered. Yet, I found myself harboring resentment for conceding, awakened from dreams too early. My voice remains unheard. Seize. Not from remorse, but from an unexpected allowance to speak truthfully, to be perceived as an individual with unmet aspirations, visions. More than merely a mother or a wife or a woman who opted for the secure route. Owen placed his notebook on the table and leaned back. He turned his head to meet my gaze. I had always believed your strength was undeniable. Yet today, I perceive you're truly experiencing life. I found myself laughing, tears streaming down, overflowing before I could intervene. I'm merely embarking on a new journey, my dear. At 41 years of age, I am finally discovering how to exist in the manner I once envisioned. Owen extracted a modest object from his backpack, the vintage tape recorder that his father had once employed. Share with me, Mom, the tales you once told. I yearned to put pen to paper. I longed to listen to their voices. My gaze wandered, gazed at him with astonishment and profound emotion. And then I commenced. I recounted the tale of a girl who once envisioned a life in an urban landscape that was always awake, who once penned 4 hours spent beneath the glow of a desk lamp, who possessed her. The initial short story released in a youth publication, magazine. I confided to him, my voice quivering, but steady, and Owen listened intently. A child, captivated by every word his mother spoke, shared just before the night enveloped the world. Yet, on this occasion, attuning to the voice of the woman who crafts the narrative, Mother. That evening, as I shut the notebook, the very one in which I first started to reconstruct recollections I believed I possessed, overlooked, I realized I had made a significant advance, not retreat into what was, but forward, the aspect of myself that had remained hidden, beneath the weight of countless years filled with relentless activity. Outside, the rain had ceased. A gentle breeze wafted in through the window ajar. I let out a long breath, sensing, weightless. For the first time in ages. In that moment, I sensed that I had transcended mere existence, a quiet silhouette poised on the periphery of others' concerns. My name is Rose, and I am 41 years of age, identifying as a woman, mastering the art of crafting the incomplete narrative belonging to her life. The following morning, the sky was surprisingly lucid. The heavens extended, spread out like an immense sheet of glass, and the sea shimmered brilliantly beneath the warm embrace of the sunlight. Owen strolled into the room with disheveled hair, a towel draped casually over his shoulder, accompanied by two, with chilled pineapple smoothies in hand. "Mom, come take a plunge into the water with me." "What about today?" he inquired, his eyes shimmering with a captivating light. A young boy beckoning his mother into a fresh. As I gazed out the window, I caught sight of a handful of souls meandering by the water's edge, departing with both brief and extended imprints upon the grains of sand. Once, I found myself stroll along the shoreline without a care in the world. I would often find myself in fits of laughter when the waves drenched my dress, yet fear eluded me, of the chill or the dampness. I merely embraced each moment with intensity. I suppose I'll merely dip my feet," I responded, slightly unsure. "Provided that you arrive out there," Owen said. "I'll take care of the remainder." We strolled along the shoreline, united in our experience. The sand embraced us with its warmth beneath our toes as soft waves caressed our ankles. Owen sprinted forward, lifting his phone camera, and called out, "Rose, 41 years old, wading into the sea for the first time in years of merely observing. Let us observe whether she will truly leap into the surf." Eric Barcel, chuckling. "Remove that clip immediately if do you ever wish to savor my culinary creations once more? This is truly remarkable footage." And then whether it was the sun or my son's laughter, or perhaps a stirring within me, with a jolt, I sprang to my feet and dashed ahead, plunged directly into the frigid water. The body tensed in response to the jolt, yet soon, the chill transformed into a cry of unadulterated. With a burst of exhilaration, Owen shouted, "Yes, that's my mom," we chuckled, united, as though cleansing the passage of time, accumulated anxieties. I had never envisioned that merely entering the water might assist me in uncovering a fragment of the youth that had long been overlooked. In the afternoon, I found myself seated, cloaked in a towel, my hair still damp. A wooden chair gazes out at the sea. Owen presented me with a steaming cup of hot cocoa. He whispered, "You seem so much more joyful." "I simply outdid myself," I responded. In hushed tones, Owen remained silent. His hand rested gently on my shoulder. A modest act, yet I perceived it as a subtle acknowledgement of a fresh journey unfolding. That evening, I unlatched the cover of my journal and I penned a brief line. "Today, I ventured into the sea, not for the purpose of swimming, but to serve as a reminder, I still can." That night, the sea was remarkably serene. The wind had ceased, howling as it had on the nights before, departing with nothing but the gentle whisper of the sea, like whispers that caress the soul. Owen had retired for the night after a day brimming with. I softly shut the door to his bedroom. The door creaked open, and I stepped out onto the porch, cradling a steaming cup of chamomile tea and the leather notebook from days gone by, the one I once relied upon to carry with me always, yet had not summoned the courage to. I penned my thoughts for what felt like an eternity. My gaze drifted outward, toward the shadowy horizon where the ocean and the sky dissolved into a seamless expanse between them. Then, she opened the notebook and set my thoughts to the page. "Dear John, I find myself uncertain whether these words will ever reach you. Perhaps I'll rip this apart. Perhaps I shall conceal it for eternity. Yet this evening, here, amidst the sea, the wind, and my own thoughts, I must express it all. A decade ago, my decision to walk alongside you stems from a deep affection, from the depths of a vision to create a sanctuary. Yet, as time passed, I ceased to recognize myself in the serene evenings we shared. You were occupied, and I contracted into the essence of motherhood, the caretaker, the one who brought to mind every small detail. And then I tumbled, silent. Not due to a lack of desire, utter a word, for I understood that you were no longer present. Hear me out. There was a time when I placed the blame on you, held on to resentment towards you, desire to depart, desire to take action, drastic merely to gain attention. Yet, I refrained. I decided to remain for our child, for our family. Yet, John, have you ever pondered the woman who once envisioned the art of crafting narratives, the allure of wandering through the streets of Paris, the essence of considering the idea of starting a quaint flower shop? Where did she leave? She didn't vanish, she simply went away, silent. She embodies my essence. And now, at 41, I find myself gently reaching out to her once more. I pen this, a letter not intended to cast blame, but merely to express. I refuse to exist merely as a shadow. I refuse to be a mere spectator in the narrative of my own existence. Regardless of your feelings for me, the question of our continued togetherness hangs in the balance. Desire to exist. Truly, this moment is for me. I have shut the door. The notebook. There were no tears, only a sensation of buoyancy, as if someone had. At last, I have removed the backpack that had been my constant companion for an extended period. I inhaled deeply and grazed the smooth, cool surface of the wooden railing veranda. The ocean continued its rhythmic rhythm. My heart mirrored that steadiness, yet there was an absence, longer silent. Upon my return to in the dimly lit room, Owen lay peacefully asleep on his side. With each steady breath, I observed him intently, smiled. Few are fortunate enough to possess a son who is perceptive enough to observe his mother gradually descending. He extends his hand to lift her once more. I found no necessity to dispatch that letter to Alma's, though I was aware, from this moment forward, all my actions will be the most genuine responses I could possibly provide. The following morning, I awoke to the gentle embrace of sunlight, slipped through the narrow opening of the door, soft as the tender touch of the earth itself. From the kitchen, the rhythmic sound of chopping and the rich aroma of golden brown toast imbued the quaint wooden cottage with an oddly comforting warmth enveloped me as I stepped out, still reeling from a lengthy night, brimming with feelings too intricate to articulate. Owen was positioned at the kitchen counter, adorned in an ivory t-shirt paired with fabric shorts, with a touch of disarray in his hair. His eyes remained intent as he garnished a pan of eggs with a delicate sprinkle of dill. I smiled gently. The playful lad from years ago, he had transformed into a man. Silent, grown and considerate. "Please take a seat, mother." "Almost finished," he remarked, his voice trailing off. He spun around, his voice airy and bright, akin to the gentle caress of the morning sea breeze. Morning. Plain. Following a straightforward yet, Owen extended an invitation for a delightful breakfast, to stroll by the shore. The ocean stretched out before me, today carries an air of unusual calmness. The water appeared pale, azure, delicate as gossamer. The expanse overhead stretched infinitely, devoid of any cloud in vision. We strolled in silence, merely immersed in the melody of the waves and the soft crunch of footsteps against the moist grains of earth. Upon our arrival at a rugged landscape, upon reaching the outcrop, Owen paused and retrieved a diminutive camera emerged from his pocket. "Stand, here you go, Mom." At the precise moment the light touches, you resemble someone on the verge of soaring. I chuckled, yet adhered to his guidance. Owen lifted. The camera clicked softly as it captured the moment. "It's finished," he remarked, passing the camera to me. I gazed at the photograph, then remained motionless. Within the confines of the frame, I am adorned in hues reminiscent of the earth. A sweater, solitary in its stance against the pallor. The golden sand glimmers, as the slanted sunlight casts its warm embrace. My hair appeared as if it were radiating light. The face angled just so, eyes fixed on the horizon, in the direction of the far-off ocean. "You appear strong," Owen remarked, his gaze fixed on. "I feel like someone on the brink of starting her own journey, expedition." As I shifted my gaze, I found myself looking at my son. My heart constricted. Within his gaze, there was not merely the gentle affection of a child for his parent, yet also acknowledgement. The stare of an adult male, witnessing a woman in the act of being rebornless. I grasped the camera firmly. Observe the photograph once more. Unfiltered, unposed, merely myself. Vibrant and full of life. A stunning, fired. I proclaimed. For the reason that you possess beauty. Owen responded with a grin, then turned his gaze, stretching toward the horizon. We both found ourselves seated on the rock that lies close by. The waves caressed the shore with a soft splash beneath us. Neither of us uttered another word. I sensed something with undeniable clarity. My son caught sight of me. Not merely in the role of a mother, not merely as a woman bearing melancholy, yet as an individual returning to existence. That photograph. I was certain it would remain with me, secure as a gentle nudge, as an unspoken note from Owen. One can always start anew. One merit that. Upon our return to the cabin stood still as the clouds began to gather overhead. However, it lacked a sense of gloom. It resonated deeply, and brimming with optimism. Within me, a voice whispered gently yet, indeed. I am returning. Not to the place I was, yet I returned to my true self. On that particular evening, the wind ascended from the depths of the sea. Branches of pine, the outside whispered as they caressed one another, while the waves whispered softly. They were recounting tales of your narratives. Within the confines of the modest cabin, the glow from the fireplace illuminated gently. Flickering shadows danced upon the wall, reminiscent of recollections. I settled into the wool-upholstered, seated in an armchair, cradling a cup of tea that has grown distant. Owen sat in silence, arranging the dishes in the kitchen, as he consistently did. We had exchanged numerous, captivating experiences woven into the fabric of this journey. Yet now, the atmosphere carried a distinct essence, stillness, thick, anticipating. I gazed through the window. The sky was an abyss of deep black. No star in sight. Vision. In an unexpected moment, my voice emerged without my gaze meeting the world around me. Upon him. Owen, were you in my position, what would you do when your partner has cast aside for such an extended period that it slips from memory? Who were you in the past? The rhythm of footsteps. The water ceased to flow. I perceived the sound of a chair being extracted. Owen settled beside me, quiet for an extended pause. In my contemplation, if I were you, I wouldn't return to that place, where I am no longer truly acknowledged, he remarked, gently yet resolutely. I would venture to the places where I truly belong. Once more, I find myself. I glanced over at him. His gaze was unclouded and sincere. An abundance, thus rendering me utterly speechless. Accustomed to, do not let fear consume you. Fearful, that Daniel might feel a surge of anger. Fearful of the family would disintegrate. Filled with trepidation, the scrutiny of others. However, in that stillness of the night, alongside, the sun, having matured, now appeared. Gaze into my soul. With clarity came a sense of courage that dispelled my fears. Would you like me to return to your father? I inquired, seeking to delve deeper into my reflections of my son. Owen remained silent. Immediately. He bowed his head, then gazed upward and responded with deliberate slowness. You must return to your true self first. If you still haven't discovered who you truly are, then returning to anyone else won't signify anything. I uttered no further words. Just nodded softly and extended a hand to grasp his hand. That comforting, unwavering hand, the hand that had aided in my ascent, both, truly, and we remained in that position for an eternity passed in silence, yet unspoken thoughts lingered in the air. Some truths remain unspoken, comprehended. Within the cabin nestled deep in the shadowy depths of the forest, the fire persisted, casting flickering light amidst the encroaching gloom. Crackles softly. And for the first, years passed, and I felt weightless, as though I had just placed an ancient suitcase brimming with exhausted aspirations and depleted dreams. I was aware that a lengthy journey lay ahead, forward. Yet, I had taken the initial step, a decision, subtle yet undeniably clear. I refused to return to a state of silence. Wife. I would revert to being Rose, A woman who is aware of her identity and understands what she deserves. The soft glow of pale sunlight. The final morning slipped softly through the curtains, filtering gentle illumination onto my fingers gently poised on the edge of the windowsill. The snow had started to recede, unveiling tufts of desiccated grass and a dirt path winding outside the cabin. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, known and poignantly reassuring. Owen was gathering his belongings in the bag. The ambience within the cabin was silent, yet it had shed its weight. Rather, it exuded a tranquil aura, as if all had been delicately restored, settled into place after a quiet tempest. Ollie gently brushed the surface of the photo captured by Owen. Yesterday, I found myself standing against the sky draped in snow, gazing towards the distant horizon. He had forwarded it to me accompanied by a message. Appear as though she is on the verge of crafting a new narrative. A smile graced my lips. It was the first instance for a considerable time, I held the conviction that I could. The vehicle drifted away from the pine forest, departing from the quaint wooden cabin. I cast a fleeting look in the rearview mirror, reflect. A fragment of my being hesitated to depart, yet I understood the forthcoming adventure wasn't located in the past. It resided within me. A woman perched in the passenger seat, cradling a weathered scarf softly in her lap, gaze locked on the path before us. We journeyed 4 hours prior to the cell signal returned. My phone buzzed, a message. It's John. I'm back. How are you holding up? Gazed at those words for an extended moment. I took my time to respond. Not due to any particular reason, frustrated or evading it, yet due to, for the first time in years, I came to the realization that there was no rush to clarify my thoughts, or please anyone any longer. I turned to. Owen remained intent on the road, his gaze unwavering, with a sense of urgency, yet soothing. I spoke gently, nearly, as if to myself, this time, I shall truly embrace life, as I am, no longer in anticipation of becoming observed. He remained silent, yet I noticed the corners of his lips curved into a subtle, understanding smile. Certain connections exist between a mother and her son need not be spoken of aloud. That afternoon, we returned to our abode. All was precisely as we had abandoned it. The slanted artwork, the wavering, the desk lamp, accompanied by the small potted plant on the porch dwindling in the face of the chill, the wind. Yet, solitude no longer enveloped me. Stepping across the threshold, I departed the suitcase sat outside as I strolled around the home as though I were rediscovering once a familiar place where I have lost touch with my true self. My hand brushed against the kitchen counter, the window, a frame that once cradled faded aspirations. All is murmuring. The past holds. Though the past has slipped away, I can still embark on a new journey. On that night, I penned my thoughts in my journal, not a letter to convey, devoid of blame or expectation. Another individual to reply, merely phrases for, I remain. I endure. I am complete, and I can still embrace love beginning with myself. When the darkness enveloped the room and as the night wind whispered softly outside, I settled down, with a heart now open wide. There may still be moments when I falter, sense adrift, or yearn for what has faded away. Yet I now possess a new anchor. Bravery discovered in stillness, in connection, and, beneath the impartial gaze of the sun, I believed I understood completely. That journey did not start in the cabin. It started within. At that instant, I summoned the courage to inquire, who am I when I am no longer merely myself? A spouse, a parent, or the guardian of the home? At last, I uncovered the truth. That journey transcended the mere notion of a winter escape. It was a journey of coming back. Not a coming back home, yet a journey back to the essence of Rose, a woman who had once overlooked the fact that she also possessed the right to be vulnerable, to envision, and to start anew from the tiniest of details. The stillness of in the snowy forest, one slips and stumbles along the path. The pristine white expanse, the mugs of cocoa beside, the flickering flames of the fireplace danced, drawing her attention, while her son's gaze held a world of unspoken thoughts. None of it was intended to carry her far, not to distance her, but to draw her nearer to the fragment of her essence that remained left behind. The most profound lesson Rose discovered to understand wasn't the path to recovery, others, yet the bravery to confront her own, valuable even in the absence of recognition from others. And perhaps the most exquisite aspect in any mother's journey, it isn't the offering oneself to maintain cohesion, yet the courage to release past identities. In order for her to survive, she may inhale, perhaps just be her true self.